97% of the 670 million pounds of mushrooms produced in the US annually are just one single species. This is the most cultivated and consumed mushroom globally as well, making up about 40% of the global market. This single type of mushroom is so dominant that it's simply referred to as mushroom, while all the other 100 varieties of farmed mushrooms are labeled specialty. Portabella, button, white button, and cremini, they're all just the Agaricus bisporus mushroom harvested at different stages of maturity. So in most US grocery stores and restaurants, consumers are being presented with a pretty meaningless choice. Imagine if most grocery stores only stocked one type of mild cheese cut into different shapes and just expected you to be satisfied with that. This topic matters because many people tolerate but don't love the button mushroom, so they dismiss mushrooms as a whole, either because they don't know how interesting the other options are, or because they don't know where to get those options. This leaves people missing out on a world of more interesting flavors and a highly nutritious food source. The beta-glucans that come from mushrooms specifically are especially interesting because they provide immune supportive qualities. This includes regulating cell signal transmission related to immune response and even anti-tumor properties. But all of that is its own video. So, the problem is this. In the US, with 97% of the market devoted to this single species, consumers aren't getting much of a choice. And with the US market being at least 50 percentage points higher than global usage of the button mushroom, I think it's fair to say that we have been in something of an exceptional national mushroom rut. So is it our destiny to keep missing out on all of the more flavorful, more nutritious mushroom options? No, because when we zoom in from the global and national picture to just one state with a strong agricultural legacy, for example, Michigan, we can see that there is some real grassroots momentum changing the landscape of which mushrooms are conveniently accessible to the public. And here's the crux of what's interesting. Of the 20 mushroom farms that I reviewed in Michigan, not a single one is growing that button mushroom. So my questions are, why? Why is the button mushroom taking up so much shelf space? And second, knowing that the button mushroom is so widely used, why are these Michigan farmers choosing to invest their energy in specialty mushrooms instead? Two answers kept coming up from the farmers and distributors who I spoke to for this piece. Number one, specialty mushroom farming on a commercial scale has only been happening for about 60 years compared to a few hundred years of button mushroom farming. For context, it's helpful to know that button mushrooms are grown on animal waste, while specialty mushrooms are mainly grown on plant material like sawdust, soy hulls, or grain. So yes, mushrooms were being cultivated on logs more than 1,000 years ago in China, but it wasn't until the 1960s that sterilized sawdust became widely available, revolutionizing people's ability to grow specialty mushrooms on a larger scale. But the biggest button mushroom farms in the US have each been in business for about 100 years. So even though commercial scale farming for specialty mushrooms wasn't possible until the 60s, that still leaves the last 60 years of opportunity that specialty mushrooms could have claimed more than a couple of percentage points of the market. Incidentally, most of these 100-year-old button mushroom farms were named in an almost 2-decade-long lawsuit alleging price fixing and anti-competitive practices like purchasing independent mushroom farms, shutting them down, and setting lease restrictions on the property to prevent mushrooms from being grown there in the future. The lawsuit was settled with $46 million in bound settlements, but that's a rabbit hole we can explore another time. The point is this: these legacy button mushroom farms have a lot of power and influence over this market that was worth about $1.1 billion in 2025. This leads us to the second resounding reason I was given for why the button mushroom takes up so much shelf space. That reason is habit. It's just what people are used to. This is simply the shape that most people think of when they imagine a mushroom. It's your mom's canned mushroom. When I asked farmers and distributors about common points of hesitancy among people who haven't tried specialty mushrooms, they told me they had often heard some version of, but I don't know how to cut this, I don't know how to cook this, and is it going to make me trip? How do I know this is safe to eat? For those first two questions, don't overthink it. Tear, cut, or crumble the mushrooms until they are smaller in a way that is conducive to the bites that you want to take. Do be aware that they will shrink as you cook the water out of them. To cook them, sear them in a super hot pan. I recommend not salting them until you have a nice crust developing on multiple sides. Otherwise, you'll draw the water out of them early and end up spending a lot more time at the stove. Just like meat, browning your mushrooms is a key way to unlock their flavor. Then you can add them to pasta and stir fries, or put them on a nice sourdough toast or pizza. They're gonna be great no matter what. To speak to the common concern about tripping and safety, if you are purchasing culinary mushrooms from a culinary mushroom farmer, they will not make you trip. And they will be safe, so long as you cook them and aren't allergic. It's always a good idea to start by eating a small amount of something new just to avoid any surprises, but you don't need to worry about being poisoned by cultivated mushrooms. Your local mushroom farmer can offer you so much by way of reassurance, so go talk to them, because their answers for why they choose to farm specialty mushrooms are clear. They encompass an enormous spectrum of texture, flavor, and nutrition. They can be described as buttery, sweet, nutty, or even reminiscent of maple and toasted pecans or fried chicken skin. And again, they're highly nutritious. Some of the most popular varieties being grown are oyster, lion's mane, maitake, and king trumpet. But specialty mushroom farmers are curious and highly passionate about their craft, so you're very likely to find more uncommon varieties like heirloom shiitake, or black pearl oyster, or the Nebrodini bianco. The button mushroom you're most familiar with is kind of like the iceberg lettuce of mushrooms. It's not trash, but if you'd only ever had access to iceberg lettuce, then I wouldn't blame you for thinking all lettuce is watery and bland. The same goes for the button mushroom. If you're interested in trying specialty mushrooms but don't know where to start, this is my advice. Use an internet browser, just not maps, to search for the specialty mushroom farms near you. Go to their website or call them if necessary to learn where they sell. I would suggest trying these search terms. I also highly recommend seeking out local Asian grocery stores and farm stop style grocery stores in your area. They're far more likely to carry options that Publix, Kroger, and Safeway don't. And the price point and quality of mushrooms at those smaller stores will beat what you can find at larger chains. Since industry and habit have pushed button mushrooms for so long, the chain grocery stores that do stock specialty mushrooms often source them non-locally, and as a result, offer you a product that isn't fresh, might already be getting slimy, and has an unnecessarily higher price point. But the mushroom farmers that I spoke to prioritize harvesting as close as possible to the time of sale, with many of them waiting until the day of to harvest and package their mushrooms. So, right now, real quick, search for what's available near you, try something new, and support a local mushroom farmer this week. Funga is a boundless kingdom of life with so many stories to tell, and if I'm able to tell those stories here, then maybe that's one less person that I'll corner at a party to talk to about this stuff. So, thank you for indulging me, and consider subscribing if you're interested in mycology.